Cool. Um, so yeah, welcome back to the next lecture. In this lecture, as I said before, we're going to be basically scaffolding, i.e. generating key files for our web application based on the tables we have in the database. So let's get straight to it. So we go to our uh, project backend, reload backend, and then what we can do here. Okay, there's a couple of commands we have. So if we go to GitHub 5006, then we go to WizWeb backend, the README file has this stuff here. So we're going to copy that. Then we're going to go here and then paste that in. So you have to do this after running migrations. Um, Otherwise, yeah, if you make a migration, you don't migrate, it's going to skip it here because it doesn't see migrations, it sees the database. Cool. So that has now generated some stuff. Okay, we've not committed our migrations yet. Let's do that. Oh, because of our increment changes things. Okay, cool. So here we go. Here we've got a bunch of models created, and then the user model has been changed. I think we're going to change some of these things back. Oh, hold on. I think we actually have a problem. We're missing order information. So then let me just correct ChatGPT once more. One more correction. Oh, also, FYI, we use unassigned integer, not. One more, please make sure to store the seller and buyer and um, purchase. That means I'm going to do a migration rollback. And migrate. Then fix the product issue. Let's see the changes. Send date. Cool, that looks great. Then we're going to do migrate again. Now we should have the new information here. Which we can't see yet. I need to refresh. Cool. Um, okay, then we're gonna actually have to run migrations again. Sorry, not migrations. Our generate QL API again. QL is for quick lists, which used to be the name for EaseWeb. And then API is basically synonymous with backend. M is for models. So this generates the models for this web backend. We're also going to be generating front-end models, so that'll be a different command pattern. Just going to make that. So now if we look at users, there's actually more critical things that have changed. We've got now some um, some relations in here added. These things I'm actually going to change back. I'll explain that now. Um, Now, the reason I have relations methods here is because there's actually no easy way for Laravel to see what relations it actually has, even though they're written very obviously here. There's actually no way to grammatically like query that model and say, what relations have you got? So that's why I added them here because, yeah, makes it easier. Oh, and the reason it makes it easier is because the backend actually generates um, the API endpoints, and in order to generate the API endpoints, it can also generate like withables, meaning like get this data with these relations. So in order to know what relations it has available, we write them there. This stuff I'm actually going to comment out again because obviously so this model is I've got an auth user model as well. That's came with the boilerplate. This model is more just for like public consumption, I guess you could say. So obviously for public consumption, I don't want certain information publicly available. So let me go into it and comment those out. Solid email, and remember token, remember token. So then these are going to be the changes, which is great. Cool. Here's our product. Also has relations. I didn't mention these rules before. These rules basically are for form or not form, I guess form, like form validation or um, create validation. So if you create a new entry, then it will use this as a rule. So the name is sometimes required, sometimes means, yeah, basically it's required. You can go look up what sometimes means in this context. Description nullable means that it's not required. Then, yeah, so they all have that similar stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that. Failed jobs and migrations, we could, and password reset token and personal access token. These are obviously not really relevant. So we can actually just discard those. Obviously, if you want to keep them, you're welcome, but they, as I said, they're not relevant. Um, cool. So these are the guys we've got. Excellent. And then I think actually what I'm going to do in this lecture is I'm just going to be talking about the backend scaffolding. Then the next episode or lecture will talk about the front end scaffolding. Just because I don't want to have everything in one video, I think it's nice to have it broken out a bit. Okay, so now let's generate that stuff. So here you see the roots have edited, and we've got these controllers. So these controllers, you're welcome to have a look at them, but they basically just create, read, update, delete, and list kind of methods, which are then used here. I think actually we are going to look a bit deeper into here. There's some stuff that I could probably add to the scaffolding, but essentially this is making that all of those methods or actions for each entity are publicly available. If you look here, you can see that there is a group that only allows logged in users to access those actions. So I'm actually going to be, I want list and read to be available publicly, but I don't obviously want the other things available. Here you can see I'm using API resource. So you can see here for user, the convention I followed, which was I used API resource user there, and then I did these here. So essentially what this does is the same as what this does and more. So I've defined that these are also obviously privately available, but I also made them publicly available. So if you write them using the exact same definitions, then it doesn't give an issue. If you write them slightly differently, it gives an issue. You might not understand what I mean, but basically, I'm going to be doing some of them with these guys. So let's go ahead. This is actually a lot of work. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of work. So I definitely will incorporate this into the scaffolding at some point. Those aren't needed. Failed jobs aren't needed. Users not needed. Genders is spelled weird. Let's see. The reason users is spelled weird is for a complex reason that I won't go into now. Um, so now I'm gonna copy these, paste them in there, and then I'm gonna get these things changed up a bit. See, this is like a very uh, menial work, which I can get the scaffolding thing to do. But for now, we're going to do it manually. It's pretty complex, but very menial. So now when I have all these perfect for the list, then I can duplicate them each for once they're perfect, then I can duplicate each one to define the list. I'm going to edit that in a sec. That's going to switch. Let's give ourselves a bit more space. So this needs to be singular form. Yeah, so for instance, if we do something wrong, like instead of um like if we instead just say like item here, it's gonna not like it because it's gonna say this actually doesn't match up with the way it's done here, but it seems like it is trying to, like it's using the same name, and then it'll say no, there's an error. So we actually have to get everything exactly the same as how this thing would define it. So like for instance now, I'm going to run PHP ops and optimize, and it might give an error because I've done something wrong. See? Cool. So I'm experienced enough to know what not to do wrong. Cool. So it means we now have these defined the way I think they should be, slightly more secure. Um, Security is something that I am going to get into probably at a later part of this course. So beyond the core parts of the course, actually, even though security is important. MVPs are more important, arguably. Okay, so now we've got the roots the way I want them. And I'm actually going to make a note so I don't forget to actually scaffold roots. Get to that at some point. Um, so those are done like that. What's that? Oh, that's nothing's changed. This is yeah, okay, so I've told you about these. Um, you can look through them if you want, but there's nothing really here to change. I mean, the main thing to mention about these is they all work out the box. You don't really need to change them. If you want to like add in a certain action that happens as well, you can. Like for instance, once a user is created, maybe you want that to trigger an email. So you'll just put in the code here to trigger an email. But otherwise, this is not really needed to change anything. Okay, so we don't need these controllers. So discard the failed child migrations, password reset, and personal access token. And we do need those. So what these will do is they'll help now. Well, now what we've created is automatic, well, not automatic, but we've created our endpoints for each of those pretty fast. So we can say it's pretty automatic. Cool. So, okay, in the next lecture, we're going to be talking about front-end scaffolding, and I'll see you there. Stop share.